Right.
Even I think it was, I don't know how many years later, when finally they got something done. I mean, this was a big process. So first they shifted the priest. Then the police came to investigate, but after interviewing like 2-3 people, they said that it was all the people they had interviewed, they couldn't do anything because of the expiry, the law, the
statute of limitations. We have that here.
Thank you. Yes, thanks. And which is in and of itself quite horrific. But the thing is that there may have been other cases which hadn't passed the statute of limitations, but the police refused to investigate further. Now, I'm not sure if this is because the police may have a law that says that if they suspect it had passed the statute of limitations, they're not allowed to actually investigate further. In Ireland, this was even worse, because in Ireland, the police just refused to report it. In some cases, they just took all the files and took it directly to the bishop and just gave it to them and said, look, what do you want to you deal with it? And they just refused to investigate the issues. And the police was actually held to part of the blame as well. So it is really systemic in how this belief system is so... It's so much wider than just saying a few people...
Yeah.
Because it gets to the state protecting you, the mechanism that's protecting you, is failing.
Yeah, you end up at the point where you start asking how deep does the corruption go, and the only answer is how big is your shovel, right? I mean, it's just that horrible when it's that entrenched. At least this is starting to come out, right? And
yes.
But I understand.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, we have seen that trend as well. I mean, I've seen that in the media where I've sat and wondered, these are crimes. I don't care who you work with or what organization you're affiliated with. The cops don't need to be coming to your place of work and saying, would you like to handle this internally? I mean, this is a violent crime. Yeah. And you don't ask the organization itself whether or not it wants you to come in and investigate. You do your job. It doesn't matter who this is. You come in, you do the investigation, and if somebody's committed a crime, you arrest them. You don't move them to another parish and say, well, we'll just let you all handle that. How about that?
It all ties into this undeserved respect that religion just automatically gets for being religion, right?
Yeah,
I mean, imagine if the Securities Exchange Commission went to Bernie Madoff, right, and said, we've got all this evidence of this massive multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme that you've been doing for 40 years. Here's everything we got. You want to just take care of this? Oh, sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do understand.
I'll take care of all that.
I do understand that associations within any association, you're going to have things, skirmishes, whatever, that are going to be internally handled with internal rules and internal doctrines. But at the same time, when you cross that line where you have committed a crime, a criminal act or a civil violation, that's when it now is no longer in the purview of just your little group. It now is a social concern, and the police or the civil authority now has a right to be involved in that and an obligation to be involved in that.
I think, Tracy, I think it's actually bigger than that. I think that just by a quick Google, the number of countries that have been affected, and I counted Austria, France, in Germany, Czech Republic, in fact, Belgium, Australia, New Zealand. The number of countries is just staggering. That's just not less than half the countries, and in each case, the numbers are just coming up and up. And I'm thinking, just on this issue alone, let alone the condoms issue, but just on this issue alone, do we not have enough to get The Hague involved and bring up the Pope for crimes against humanity? Just on this alone.
Yeah, I think it would be great.
Intervene on an international level.
There's already a lot of noise in the media about the Pope needs to resign because of this. It's obviously because of based on his attitude in his quote today, he doesn't seem to think that's necessary. That may be a necessary step. I think that's maybe good to get the dialogue going on that. I don't know if under the Hague's rules that that would have to maybe be investigated. But heck, I'd sure love to see it. Because you're right, it's beyond serious. We thank you for the call and for all the information, but we're down to like 5 minutes. We want to go ahead and get to our last 2 callers before we sign off. So, stay in touch with us through email and the rest of it. And thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for calling.
Thank you. Should we hit Ali has been waiting on line 2. Ali?
Hey, how you doing?
We're good.
Good.
Sorry to keep you waiting here. What's
It's
up?
all right. Don't worry about it. Yeah, how's it down there? I haven't lived in Houston in quite some time, but I hear it's still kind of nippy, or?
Well, it's weather's pleasant today. We have a nice
Gorgeous
spring
today.
day.
What can we do for you?
That's cool. That's cool. I'm actually calling from Chicago. I'm a theist, a Muslim, and I just want to discuss particularly the issue of default positions with you, if it was okay. I know we don't have much time left, but...
Good.
Anyways, actually, I've been thinking about this issue for quite some time, and I just wanted to relate that I really don't... I understand sort of the atheist perspective on how atheism is the default position, but my belief in God, I think, is actually predicated more on a default position, and I kind of feel bad because after hearing Brian talk about God radar or whatever, it's kind of hurting my my argument right now. But I hope to give more of a kind of a deeper, hopefully a deeper argument if we have the time.
Well, let's see how much you can do in 60 seconds, and then we'll take it from there, okay?
60 seconds, okay.
And we're sorry, we should have got, here we go, the theist caller, that everyone in the chat room's yelling at us to get on the air. And but go ahead.
All right, anyways, I think that default positions cannot be predicated on the lack of belief, because if that were the case, the belief that atheism is the default position would actually precede atheism itself. Therefore, I could say basically I lack the belief that atheism is the default position, and therefore I do not have to accept atheism as the default position. So it would seem better to say that we predicate default positions on beliefs rather. So,
actually, I think that what we should do is predicate default positions on where the evidence lies as pertains to any particular claim. For example, again, what should be the default position on I have an invisible magic elf living in my sock drawer?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, should the default position on that be not believing it, or should the default position be believing it? I would suggest that the default position on that kind of claim would be, I am going to reserve belief until there is sufficient evidence to make that it makes sense to believe that there is such an elf living in my sock drawer. Mm. And so that would be, so I would use evidence as the benchmark from that. So.
Certainly, I think it's implicit with everybody to say that, I have to give reasons for whatever I'm claiming. Mm-hmm. And I think that also extends to atheists as well, especially when they claim theism, that they're irrational, etc.
Well, tell you what, you want to call next week and talk to Matt? Because we're going off.
I would love to have
We got a sign.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for the crew.
Oh. Are we off?